What's going on, YouTube homies? JC here with another video. My backyard build. Another beautiful day in Florida here. Have some actually nice weather today. Let's start off with this though. Last episode we did the first tabbing of the bulkheads into the bottom of the boat. I went ahead and I threw the floor skin in. Just kind of did like a rough fit, a fit check if you will. Everything is nice and smooth and level here for the most part. Nothing a little sanding and reglassing can't fix. But this right here, and I'm glad I did this little check because we have quite a bit of difference here. So I think what I'm going to have to do is, just like I put these blocks under here on the back, I might have to put one or two here, crack that out, put one or two here to help this lift up and be flush with that. I don't know if the floor is just sagging or if this back piece here, this little cup, if you will, for the bilge, if that's what you want to call it, comes up for any reason. But I just wanted to show you that. It's always good to do a fit check every once in a while, whenever you can. Make sure things are going the way you expect them to, the way you want them to, especially on an extensive build like this, if that's what you want to call it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this floor back out. I'm going to get some of these leaves out of the bottom of the boat because it's sitting under a tree here. Get some of these leaves out of the bottom of the boat, pull the floor back out, get my equipment, all my tools, my supplies, my materials set up, and I'll meet you back here in a few minutes and we'll start putting in the second layer of tabbing on those bulkheads. All right, guys, I pretty much got my pieces in here. They're just kind of placed in there. You can see this piece is going to come, all these pieces are going to come all the way to the top, and actually those back there are going to come above the top because I just didn't feel like cutting them flat. So I'll just come back and grind them or cut them off after I've got everything resined in. But as you can see, this comes past the last point that I resin or fiberglassed it. So I kind of got it overlapping a little bit. It's kind of stepped and staggered. And what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to go through with resin that has no wax in it. I'm not going to put any wax in it. Go through, put everything in, and then afterwards I'm going to go through, mix another batch with just my wax, and go over everything one more time. I'm going to try to go for smaller batches this time, just so I can have a little bit more working time. I don't have to rush the process and just work in smaller batches today than I did the last time. So I'm going to get some resin mixed up, and the next time I see you, I'll be resining this fiberglass in. So I got my resin mixed up here. Just do the same thing. I'm just going to glob it in there. The most important thing is I want to make sure that this stays up top, flush with the top of the bulkhead, because that's the way I measured it. That's the way I cut it. And I don't know if I mentioned before, I did end up sanding some spots because I had some globs left over from the thickened resin the last time I made it. I did have some globs left over. So I did take some spots and sand them down, but I didn't sand everything. I just gave it a good wipe down with my acetone. I just want to make sure this comes all the way up to the top. And I know it's kind of hard to do because when I start pushing in this corner, it's going to start pulling that fiberglass down. I'd rather have a little coming up over the top than it come down. Like I said, I can always come back and sand and grind that down. But I'm just globbing it in there, giving the fiberglass time to soak that resin in. Especially since I didn't do a pre-coat on the wood before. And I know that wood's going to suck some of that resin out of the fiberglass. So I want to make sure I put liberal amounts there and get it all saturated nice and good. Get this first piece resined in, just so you guys can get the gist of what's going on here. And see, I feel like there's already spots right here sucking the resin out of the fiberglass. So that's why I want to be nice and liberal with the resin when I put it in there. Well, make sure you get down on these corners good. Take some excess from down here that's pulling and move it around. Get down in that corner really good. Dab, dab, dab. Let me move to this other side real quick. Make sure I'm still where I want to be with the camera. I'm just saturating this top piece first. Getting the resin in there. Get these corners good. I only went with 8 ounces this time. Doesn't seem like it's going that far, but I'm trying to resist doing more than 8 at a time. Working quick. Still sticking with the 1% ratio for the hardener. Because even with 1%, I still seem to be fighting the resin so it doesn't take off on me. If you put enough resin on this fiberglass, it tends to do what you want it to do to a certain degree. And make sure it gets saturated though. I want to try to get it as transparent as possible. And I'm going back through and just making sure it's saturated as I fling it all over the place here. That's part of the reason why I like using the brush too, is because you can actually use the brush and force that resin down into the fiberglass. I think that's actually using quite a bit more resin than I thought it would, so maybe I will make it a bigger batch next time. Just trying to make sure I get all these little bubbles pushed down. Of course, I know the wood underneath isn't perfect. I probably could have spent a little extra time sanding that, but it is what it is. I don't know if you guys can see all these little white blotches. Those are air pockets. I'm just using the brush to push those out as much as I can. But you guys get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off just so I can, let me get this one here. I got a little bit more. We'll go until the resin's out of the cup. Use it all up real quick. I think I will stick with 4 ounces at a time because it's looking like it's already wanting to fire off on me. Starts turning into a gel, you know you're running out of time. I'm actually going to fold that down, and now let's push it back up. There we go. See if I can get this little piece going real quick. Yeah, get that wet real quick so it'll stick to it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get the camera off, make me another little batch here, and finish this up, guys. I'll get back with you in here in a few minutes. So I've got everything resined in, all the fiberglass and whatnot. Some areas look better than others. I know like these, the tops of these areas back here, it's a little excessive. I'm going to go ahead and just trim those off and sand them down when I get done. But I've got the second layer of tabbing in. Like I said, I know some areas look better than others, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not a pro. It's going to have to do. Not a pro by any means. So now I'm just going to take some resin and mix it in with my sanding aid. I'm going to give this a few minutes to kind of kick off and cure a little bit. Then I'm going to go back over it with the sanding aid. So that way the resin everything can cure properly and everything will cure fully. So right now I'm just going to mix up my resin with my wax in it. I've got a clean cup. I've got a clean brush. That's what I used earlier. I think I'm going to go with 10 ounces. Because I'm not necessarily trying to saturate the fiberglass. I'm just trying to do a thin layer with the wax over it so it can cure overnight. So I don't think I'm going to need as much. It's not going to have to go as far. I said everything's already saturated. I'm just going to give it a quick skim. You roughly want double the wax than the hardener. Well, that sucks. Sometimes this wax lid gives me issues. After this wax sits for a while, it tends to be a problem because it kind of glues itself to the lid. Give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. There we go. This doesn't have to be an exact science. I'm just going to pour a little bit in there. A little bit more. You can never have too much wax. Put the lid back on there. Actually going to stir this up before I put my hardener in it, just so I can make sure the wax is thoroughly mixed in there. Like I said, with this polyester resin, it doesn't come with any kind of sanding aid in it or wax. You can buy it with wax in it, but I buy it without the wax. In order for this resin to cure fully, it's got to have an airtight seal on top of it. the wax is what gives it that airtight seal on the top cover so the resin can fully cure. I put my hardener in here. Give me a second while I count to myself. That looks like enough. I lost count, honestly. But like I said, I'm going to be quick with it. Give this a quick stir and a quick mix. See if I got one of my other cups around here. Always empty out whatever resin's left over in the cup. I'll see if I can find one of my other cups. I might have thrown it away already, but even if you leave just a little bit of resin, like a ½ inch of resin in this cup, it'll melt through the bottom and ruin your cup. If you empty it out and scrape it out like I did with this other one here, you can kind of peel it out and reuse it. And I try to reuse these cups as much as I can just so I don't have to go to the store that often. I'd say that's mixed thoroughly enough. Like I said, all I'm doing is I'm just going to give these a quick coat. I'm not trying to saturate anything. Just a quick coat. Get that waxed resin on there. And see, that's actually cured for the most part already, it feels like. But just resin it down. Let me get this top here. Get some resin on that. Try and seal that up a little bit. It's moving very quickly. Yeah, that's actually already pretty set already, so that's good. Now, if I were to come back and try and put some more resin or fiberglass on top of this, I would have to sand it just to get that wax layer off the top. Just like when you wax your car, the wax prevents things from sticking to it. So if you have wax on this still, it's not going to allow that next layer of fiberglass and resin to stick to it and bond to it the way that it should. I get this down in there. Actually, I'll wait on that so I don't pull that apart. Just give this all a nice good coat. Get that wax on there. And if some should happen to absorb into it, it's whatever. It's no big deal. Hit these little guys back here. Just keep on moving. And since I've got quite a bit here, I'm just going to be very liberal with it. This might not be the preferred method, but it's the way I'm doing it. Try to save on some wax a little bit. Get this guy. The one thing that I did find that was quite helpful was that it is quite helpful to pre-soak the wood before you put your fiberglass on there. And also to pre-soak your strips before you put them up, because it helps to stick a lot easier. The resin that you're putting on will saturate in there a lot quicker. And go from there. Just try and spread this out a little bit. And honestly, as much as I'd hate to, I've got this little bit left in the cup. I'm actually just going to pour it out because I don't want it to melt through the bottom of the cup. Actually, I see some areas here where I could probably use this around this rigging tube. Some fiberglass that didn't get quite saturated like I wanted it to. Also kind of hold that rigging tube in place also. I think that's about it. Pour this out in my little area, clean my cup out. And I'm going to call it for this episode, guys. This might have been a little bit of a short one. I know lately they've been a little shorter. But, where are we at here? But, you know, I work in the time that I have available. As usual, it's Sunday night. Got to get some things done before the day tomorrow. Going on a little bit of a family vacation tomorrow, so for the next few days. But this is what I got, as always. Got all my tabs, or my bulkheads tabbed in. I think the next thing I'm going to work on, we go back in here into my little fiberglass house of horrors. So real quick, so you see how thin or thick that is? That's not that thin, that's not that thick. Or it's not that thick, rather. That's probably like a 1/2 inch thick puck. But it absolutely melted through and destroyed the bottom of this cup. So if you're doing this at home, always try and scrape out what bit you can. I think next week or next episode, I'm going to try and get this bad boy in. This side, if you remember, we put 1708 on it. This side has nothing. We're still going to need to put some fiberglass on here. I'll probably try and fiberglass this. Put another bit of 1708 on there. Trim all these edges out. And then we'll try and get this big main bulkhead in there for the casting deck. And of course, you see I still got the casting deck itself. It's just been under here chilling. With the frame over there, we'll get the frame going. So I don't know, after I get this bulkhead in, I might actually flip the boat over because there's some spots on the bottom side that need some addressing on the keel. You know, I've got a patch there. Let me see, that's a patch. And that right there where the permanent marker is, that's a patch too. That were just completely through the bottom of the keel. And I've got some work on the back side of the keel too. It doesn't go all the way through, but it's a little rough. It's got some scrapes on it. So after I get that main bulkhead in, we'll probably flip the hull over and address those issues on the bottom before we go much further. Try and get all the structural stuff done before we start getting into sanding, fairing, gel coat, mounting the motor, mounting the trolling motor, painting the motor, painting the trolling motor. I mean, of course, we still have a trailer day. Put some new carpet on the bunks. Replace these rollers because these rollers are rough. It's rusted. They don't even spin. Some of them are even busted. And then we'll put some more carpet on these bunks. The wood's good. Just needs new carpet on it. And then, you know, mount the jack plate, all that good stuff. Take the this jack up here off because it's rusty. I have no need for it. We'll take it off for now, and if later on in the future I feel like putting another jack on it, I'll put another jack on it. But that's where we're at, guys, so far. If you found anything interesting, helpful, educational, entertaining, maybe I just completely screwed it, I don't know, leave me a thumbs up, push the like, subscribe, help your boy out with the algorithm, leave a comment. So yeah, guys, until next time, peace.